Jason Tatum had 40 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, filling up the box score. Celtics led by as many as 22, and they end up torpedoing the Lakers as they come tumbling back down to earth. The better story is in that losing locker room, so let us discuss the question for the esteemed panel. How concerned should podcaster J.J. Redick be with Luka Doncic and the Lakers stumbling against the Celtics? So I've got soft and squishy, watertight, and Paul Giamatti. For some reason, we'll get applause. I don't know why. But we'll put them all together, and we are going to make Boston cream pie is what we're going to make, delicious Boston cream pie. So, number one. I said number. Number one. Can I get a number? Number one. On the MALLER scale of concern for the historians, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst of the worst, the worst of the worst, I'm going to be measured here, 8.5. 8.5 on the MALLER scale of concern for the Lakers. And this is a bittersweet situation. Boston is the standard in the NBA. Until someone knocks them off, they're the reigning champions. That's the way this works. And this was a placement exam. Do you belong in the discussion? Do you? They played it. Everyone knew that. Those were the stakes going in. And the Lakers showed the world in pro basketball that they are soft and squishy. That's their underbelly, soft and squishy. And they don't belong in the conversation, and they are who we thought they were. They're the faux contender. Right? Won a few games in a row. People got all horny and all excited about the Lakers. But the reality is that's the Lakers we saw on Saturday night. That's the Lakers. And they're not winning anything. They're not. They simply don't measure up to the elite in the NBA. They don't, right? And they can't handle the advanced coursework and all that. Now, the Laker apologists will say, well, LeBron, he left with an injury, and ifs and buts were candy and nuts. The Lakers would have won that game. And LeBron did exit with 6:44 to go in the fourth quarter. He left with a groin injury. More on that in a minute. Lakers were down by 9 points at that time. They were not winning. They were down by 9. Celtics, for the most part, kept them at arm's length, the Lakers. They never trailed in the second half. The Celtics led the entire second half of the game, led by as many as 22 points in that game. And the Lakers are just not in the same breed as the Celtics here. It's like the JV versus the varsity. The Celtics are the varsity, and the Lakers are the JV, and that's the way it is. And the Lakers were on cloud nine. They were all excited. They got Hookah Luka given to them, a very fishy deal from Dallas, very fishy. So they were riding high in late February and shot down a couple of pegs here in early March. And make no mistake, though, the Celtics, once they flipped the switch, the Celtics absolutely swarmed the Lakers like locusts for a good chunk of that game. The Lakers had an early 8-point lead in that game. And from that point, when the Lakers had an early 8-point lead, over roughly the next 2 quarters, the Celtics outscored the Hookah Lukas by 30 points. So they went from down 8 to up 22. So that's not just like a bad couple of minutes. That's like half the game where you end up getting outscored by 30 points. Embarrassing. Now, page 2. So let's get to the Komodo dragon in the room. The initial report said that LeBron James would miss weeks, not days, and he sustained a groin injury, very convenient groin injury. It looked like the Lakers were going to lose, and LeBron exited with a groin injury. And so put that into context. Put the LeBron injury into context here. So the latest reporting is LeBron expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks. Bet the over. Danny DeVito, bet the over on that, on LeBron. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is the Pollyannish outlook, that wearing purple and gold glasses here. And we have about 6 weeks to go, mercifully, in the NBA regular season. About 6 weeks to go. So that means that if LeBron has even a mild setback, and you know the Lakers will go, out of an abundance of caution, we want to go slow with this, but even a mild setback, and LeBron will likely not play the rest of the regular season. So everything's going to go perfectly right for him to come back here. And it's a good news, bad news situation. All right, because if there is a setback, and based on that type of injury, there normally is a setback, the Lakers then have a watertight alibi. They have a watertight alibi that we would have won and we would have had a higher seed, but snap, crackle, pop, and boo-hoo-hoo. And no matter how many Flintstone vitamins you take when you're 40 years old, if you look at the comps, the groin injury, once you injure it, and LeBron's had issues in this area before, you're more susceptible to re-injuring that area. And so this is an ominous dark cloud that the Lakers have now, and you hate to see it unless you don't. Now, speaking of this, and LeBron, several of you, most prominently, multi-time Benny Award winner, Justin in Cincinnati, sent this along. But he was not the only one to send me this story in recent days as it started going around and round and round. There was new evidence that has recently dropped on the social networks, and it's really from a decade-old story about LeBron James and his alleged ties to performance-enhancing drugs, the Biogenesis investigation. If you haven't seen this yet, it's made its way around for several days now. We're a little late to the party, but better late than never. So there are whispers wondering whether or not the NBA attempted to cover up, to sweep under the rug, if you will, LeBron's connection to performance-enhancing drugs, better known as PEDs, and the scandal involving the Biogenesis Clinic. You might remember this is the one in Florida. You had A-Rod involved in that, Ryan Braun, among others. So, based on the newest information that's out there, did the NBA hide LeBron James' link to the Biogenesis story? So it is more probable than not that there was some funny business that took place here. That is more probable than not there was some stuff that went on here. Just use your schnozola here. You can smell the rodent. You can smell the rodent when you use your schnozola there. There's freshly unredacted federal documents that were uncovered by a small cable channel out of Bristol, Connecticut, and they suggest that the NBA dodged questions about LeBron and his connection. LeBron's name popped up because his trainer and longtime friend, two different people, by the way, trainer and longtime friend, were both linked to the Biogenesis Clinic that was dishing out the PEDs. And so fingers have been pointed here, noting that LeBron James and his reps declined, said ixnay on the talkie, declined an interview despite providing the Entertainment and Sports Network provided plenty of information backing up their line of questioning. LeBron wanted nothing to do with it. So the chatter of the cover-up taking place here, and the DEA did clear LeBron back then, but the buzz claims that the NBA, through the very powers of big basketball, was able to hush things up to protect the kingdom of LeBron in the NBA. Now, one of the reasons I bring this up now is because it got some credibility. A former NBA player named Ron Harper, known as Hollywood Harper, in his day, played for the Clippers, and then I don't know what happened to him after he left the People's team, but he played with Cleveland also. But Ron Harper played a long time in the NBA, back in the Jordan Chicago Bulls days and all that, and he ran to defend the honor of LeBron. Yeah, old school NBA guy saying, quote, "I'm over this BS. Let the kid play basketball. Enjoy how good he has been over his career," close quote. All right, it's pretty cool. You're a boy still at age 40. Awesome. So that is not a denial. Let me point out, for those of you a little slow, it's not a denial from Ron Harper. It's a who cares if he's doing PEDs, it doesn't matter. And that's generally been the mindset in the NBA. That's generally been the mindset. Like baseball, people go bananas in baseball when someone's accused of PEDs. Not even so much anymore. I think the younger generation loves steroids. I think they're all about it. But the older generation would get very upset. And there was a huge scandal 30 years ago involving steroids in baseball and all that. Like, I get the sense now, like, people don't care. It's like you want to be entertained, and that's it. And I've evolved my position, and I was of the mindset in baseball that none of those steroid guys should get in the Hall of Fame. And then I started seeing guys I was 99.9% sure did steroids who got into the Hall of Fame. So I thought, well, why are you holding Bonds and Clemens out if you're going to let so-and-so and so-and-so in? Makes no sense. The other part of this, which has been pointed out by some, and I just want to follow up on it. One of the great documentaries back in the day, the Dark Side documentary, which laid out how Peyton Manning was a cheat, more likely than not, and that got covered up by big NFL, big football. So the game plan's seemingly the same here. Like Peyton Manning, there were connections to PEDs that were put out in that documentary, that the drugs were sent to Manning's wife, Peyton Manning's wife, and people associated with LeBron are working as the cover, if you will, if this story is accurate. And you have plausible deniability. If Peyton Manning had plausible deniability. Peyton didn't sue anybody, by the way. He was all upset, but he had Jim Nantz and others run to defend him, but he didn't sue anybody. And this LeBron thing, it's the same script. It's like somebody close to but LeBron's not doing it, but it just happens people around LeBron happen to have these drugs sent to them, things that make you go, things that make you go, But I am of the mindset, based on my years of doing gas baggery here in the middle of the night, that some of these guys are so humongous. It's like a Paul Giamatti movie from back in the day, too big to fail. Now, I know that was about the banking industry, but in the context of pro sports, certain people are so big, the leagues can't have them fail. That it's massively important. LeBron is, the greatest player of this generation and all that stuff. Couldn't hold Michael Jordan's jockstrap, but so be it. So LeBron is doing things that have never been done at age 40. Now, it is possible that he's just a unicorn. He's better than every other 40-year-old. It's also possible there's a dimension of the multiverse where LeBron's got some really good stuff, the good stuff there. You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink, nod, nod. And that is how LeBron is producing these numbers. It's also, again, conceivable. He's just cut from a different cloth, and it's just amazing. The aging process does not happen. Or, again, he's taking some magic beans that are allowing him to produce these great numbers.